Hey guys, welcome to the Bernard Ferrell's channel, and today I'll be giving you guys tips on how to read faster and effectively. I know some of us might have heard this quote that readers are leaders and that the average CEO reads approximately 4 books in a month. Now, interesting fact to note, Warren Buffett, the third richest person on the planet currently, is said to read about 5 newspapers and about 500 pages of corporate reports. Now, 500 pages. Wow. Now, the average book is actually about 200 pages to about 250 pages. And most of us still struggle to finish that in a month. And some of us actually pull it down to 2 months. Yeah. So now I'm going to give you guys tips on how to read faster and effectively. The first tip I'm going to give you guys is know your reading speed. Now, before you can actually start to go anywhere, you need to know where you are. Now, thank God for the internet. I mean, there are a lot of free stuff on there, man. I'm going to post a link on the description below on a site where you can actually go on, get your reading speed, and also test your comprehension with that reading speed out. Oh my God, that's wild, honestly. Like the famous quote, the journey of 1,000 miles begin with 1 step. But still though, you need to know where to start with that step. Feel me? Now my next point is stop sub-vocalization. Now what is sub-vocalization? Sub-vocalization is basically that voice in your head that plays on repeat when you're reading. Why is it advisable to stop sub-vocalizing? Is because you recognize words and think faster than you can ever even begin to speak words, be it vocally or mentally. Now, how I actually stop this is by humming. For example, maybe you could be reading a particular text and you could be like, normal humming, Now, the main aim is to distract yourself from actually reading what you are actually reading. Stop reading what you're actually reading. Yeah. Yeah, that's the main point actually. Another hack you can use for this is when you're reading, you could divide the page into 3 columns. Now, when you're reading on the first column, you just count from 1 to 3 because of the 3 columns. Now you could read 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3. That counting alone actually distracts you from the process of actually reading each word out loud in your head. Now, my next tip is use a pacer. Now, what is a pacer? A pacer can actually range from your finger to this pen right here. Or, you could use a comb or something. But something that gets your attention. Now, I'm just going to give you an example. Now, this is a pharmacology textbook. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, I'm actually a medical student. And this is a pharmacology textbook I've been trying to consume for a while. And what I do, how I use my pacer for this book is, so now, let's say this is what I want to read. I just focus my eyes on this point and just glide through. You should actually try this. This can actually increase your speed just by even without the subvocal. Even if you don't stop subvocalizing, because that's actually pretty difficult to do. You need to practice that. But just doing this alone, oh my God. Okay, you can just go from line to line, just glide through, and you can actually vary the speed that you're doing this. For example, if this is too fast for you, you can actually just slow down and just go through. Now this is really helpful if you see something that struck you or a quote that you actually need to digest, and just take it slowly. There's some things that you read that you just have to just absorb it. Using a pacer actually has an advantage over using a speed reading app. Now this is because you can actually vary your speed in real time and without having to go through the hassle of actually going into the app settings to set the speed or something like that. That's gonna take time and stress, honestly. So yeah, but if you still want to use the app, be my guest, but still use a pacer. Now my next point is, or tip, schedule your reading. Now, to actually finish anything, basically, you actually need to schedule the time you want to do it per day. Or if it's something that requires consistency over a long period of time, like finishing a book. You finish a book in a day, but due to our busy lives, we need to we need to actually break it down into a few days. Now, to actually go through with that, you need to schedule the time that you're going to do it. If not, procrastination can actually set in. And honestly, when that happens, that's when we get the problem of actually finishing a book in like 2 months, or I mean, if you want to use the bad side of it, 3 months, honestly. So we haven't actually set the time per day which we're going to have to actually read. To actually get in depth in this issue of procrastination, I actually have a video just strictly for procrastination. It should be somewhere on the link. I don't know, somewhere, yeah. So yeah, just if you want to know more about procrastination, and just click on it and hopefully you get something. Now my next point is minimize distractions. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Doing anything basically, you get more done when there are little or no distractions. I would advise you actually try and block 30 minutes to just focus on what you want to read. You stay there, just you and that material, you focus and you just get through to it. Now, I can bet you that someone who read 30 minutes with full attention and focus, and someone who read for 2 hours with continuous distractions, unless, for example, the guy who's reading for 2 hours has a particular significant person messaging that person at that time he or she wants to read. I mean, talk about distractions. Yeah, so reduce your distractions. Now my next tip is have a deadline. Now, why having a deadline is really advisable is because it creates a sense of urgency to actually finish that task compared to when you do not have a deadline at all. I mean, like there's nothing to keep you accountable basically without a deadline. But if you actually put in the effort to try and set a deadline, it gives you a sense of urgency to actually finish that book at that time, and reduces the likelihood that you will actually do irrelevant stuff that really does not help you achieve that goal. I mean, yeah, it greatly reduces that thing when you have a deadline. When you set that time that you want to finish that book, it could be a week from now. It could be, even if you do not hit that deadline, 75% to 60% chance that you would actually pull through to finish it with a deadline than you would without one. Now, I'm talking from an experiential point of view. So have a deadline. Question of the day: if you have tips or points that helps you to read faster and effectively, please drop it on the comments below and share it with us so we can all read faster and effectively. If you enjoyed this video, please try to like, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and remember to always keep it real. Bye guys.